All right, Shalom. This is your brother Nahalia from the GMS Orlando camp. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Wakar Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who are the elders of Yasher Allah, and a sincere salutation to all Yuakim, who are preaching this word and believing this word, and to the Akwath, who are believing this word in all truth and in sincerity. Yahweh is the name of the one they ignorantly call God. Yahweh Shai is the name of the one they ignorantly call Jesus. Bahashem is in the name. Rakah is spirit. Kodash is holy. Akyam is brothers. Akwath is sisters. Shalom means peace. And Yasher Allah is Israel in ancient Paleo Hebrew. All right, now I want to go into a lesson through the spirit on this video. You see from the title, it says, Black men, what do we control? Now, we understand that our biblical nationality is Israelites, Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. As a nation of people, we are the children of Israel. All right, we don't identify as Black. All right, because I'm preferencing this, right? Because in this video, he's going to mention the Northern Kingdom, the Spanish-speaking tribes, as a separate nation, and he's going to include Black people under the African banner. All right. But according to the scriptures, all right, we are the children of Israel. All right. And the reason I want to bring this out is because let's just start here. This is Exodus 19:6. And it reads, and ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and an holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. So I'm going to play a few minutes of this video, and then I'm going to bring out some scriptures. Lord willing, this is edifying.
So this is a question I have asked on my live multiple times, and I thought it's time I bring it to video to reach a wider audience, because this is a question I have for a lot of Black men and African men, and I think it's time we start to answer these questions. And before all you red pill bros come at me, don't. I'm just not the type of person to dwell on the perceived flaws of our women without focusing on ours. I pay attention to both sides. And if you know me, I'm not a panderer. I'm definitely not someone to pander to or try to defend people who are abort Black boys, calling me a bullet. No, if you know me, know who I am, the kind of family I come from, the kind of culture I come from, tremendous self-respect. I'm not one to defend people who have known for hating me. This is not about Black women. This is about Black men. But I need you to answer this question. Are you ready? Now here goes. I want you to picture a scenario, right? Picture a scenario where a bunch of women are all hanging out. There's a white woman, regular white woman. There's a Jewish woman. There's an Arab woman. There's a Chinese woman. There's an Indian woman. There's a Mexican woman, a Filipina, a Black American, and an African woman. So that makes 9 women hanging around, just hanging around, chilling, just drinking, enjoying the day. And then out of nowhere, conversation starts getting a little spicy. Starts getting spicy. The spice levels starts going up, and then out of nowhere, the white woman just gets up and is like, you know what? Y'all not going to do this with me. I'm white. Our men control governments. You're not going to play with me. Everyone's like, what? The Chinese woman gets up and is like, first of all, I'm a Chinese woman. Our men run construction. No, sorry. Our men run manufacturing. If you want to build anything in this world, you need a Chinese man. So watch what you say to me. Everyone's like, okay. And then the Indian girl gets up and is like, first of all, I'm Indian. Our men run tech. If you want tech and if you want anything to work on your phone, you want your laptop, anything to run, you need Indian men. Don't mess with me. Everyone's like, okay, okay. The Mexican woman gets up. She's like, Los Tigres del Nortes. Don't fuck with me. If you need a roof over your head, our men run construction. Don't play with me. Mexican men run construction. You play with me, I'm a holla at Jose, and it's over for you. Everyone's like, okay, okay. The Jewish woman's like, I know you all don't keep your money under your bed, so as long as you got in the bank, watch what you say. Everyone's like, ooh, okay. The Arab woman is like, well, I'm sure you all need gas. Arab men, we control oil. That's us. Don't play with us. Everyone's like, okay, Arab girl. The Filipina is like, okay, okay, I see what you're doing. Well, me and my girls, we have totally taken over the nursing industry. And have you noticed something? Our men are slowly taking over. In 10 years, none of you bitches can get a vaccine without a Filipino man, and we will all be housewives. So checkmate. Everyone's like, oh, okay. So black men in this scenario, what have we given black women and African women to brag about or clap back about?
So I know that was kind of long-winded, but I wanted to get all of it out before we start to go into this and dissect it and how it relates to the scriptures. Because this whole scenario that he's painting, even though there's some flaws in the details, generally speaking, it goes back to what the Lord told us. All right. Our condition as a nation of people on earth is a product of what the Lord did to us as a nation. And see, our people have such a small vision concerning our nation that they are fighting for a seat at another man's table. All right. And this is why I want to go here to the curses. All right. This is Deuteronomy 28. I'm going to start at let's start at 1. All right. Because we're going to get to the source of it, right? The Lord deals with the source of the issue. You know, Jake is trying to find some way to wiggle around the real issue, the root of the issue. All right. Esau, his rulership, our condition, the source of it is disobedience. Being ruled over is a symptom to a disease, which is disobedience. All right, so let's start here. This is Deuteronomy 28:1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. One thing about us as a nation of people, there is no gray area. You know, either we're going to be on the top or we're going to be on the bottom. And see, our people are trying to find some middle ground that doesn't exist. The Lord gave us an either or. When he said, matter of fact, let's get it. Let's go to Deuteronomy 30. This is Deuteronomy chapter 30 and verse 15. It reads, see, I have set before thee this day life and good, and death and evil. And what did we do as a nation of people? By disobeying the Lord, we did this. This is Jeremiah 8:3. And death shall be chosen rather than life, by all the residue of them that remain of this evil family, which remain in all the places whither I have driven them, saith the Lord of hosts. So when we go back to Deuteronomy 28, at the top of it tells us the blessings. If we're obedient to the Lord, we'll be high above all nations. And the reason I'm bringing this out is because Jake's logical thinking is that, you know, we should be fighting for a seat at this table without realizing that our condition is a product of something deeper than industry. It goes back to the spiritual disobedience. This is why we're in this condition. And instead of Jake acknowledging the root of it, they ignore that to try to find some other way. And what did Yahushua say? He said in John the 10th chapter, if you try to go up some other way, the same as a thief and a robber. We offended the Lord, and that put us in this position. And let's go to the curses to touch that. All right, so Deuteronomy 28:1, we just read what would happen to us if we were obedient. We will be blessed above all nations. Now let's go to verse 15. Deuteronomy 28:15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Now I want to jump down because this is a list of the curses. Let's jump down to verse 44. It says, he shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. All right. So this shows you right here in Deuteronomy 28:44, he shall lend to thee and shall not, he shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. The reason I bring this out is because there is no middle ground. There is no place where, you know, we're not on the top, we're not on the bottom, we somewhere in the middle. It don't work like that. And this is why Jake's attempt to find something in this system to control is vain. All right. Now to answer his question, because when he say black men, let's preface that it's actually Israelites, Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, West Indians and Haitians are the children of Israel. And what do we control in this society? We don't control anything going back to the curses. However, the intention, the position of us as a nation of people is to be above all nations, as a nation of kings and priests. The Lord is setting us up as a nation of people not to own a industry, but to be in absolute control of the resources under Yahweh Shai. This is something Christianity leaves out. All right, the law is going to go forth from Zion. We're going to be above all nations. Because when you deal with his video, if you get to the end of it, his solution is we should take over trash. We should, get our foothold in trash and take over America's trash, and then somehow we'll build our way up to having some type of power seat. The Lord is creating an entirely new table for us. All right, so let's go here. I'm gonna go back to this. This is Exodus 19:6. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and an holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. In the NLT, it says, and you will be my kingdom of priests, my holy nation. This is the message you must give to the people of Israel. So I wanted to cover first why we're in this condition. All right. And then I want to turn the page to the end goal. Because what is the end goal for us as a nation of people? What is the Lord's intention for us as a nation of people? Under Yahweh Shai, the Lord intends for us to be a nation, a kingdom of priests, to have complete dominion on earth under Yahweh Shai. All right, that is the end goal. Not to own some industry, but to be in full control of the planet and its resources under Yahweh Shai. All right, let's go to this. This is Deuteronomy 15:6. And it reads, for the Lord thy God blesseth thee as he promised thee, and thou shalt lend unto many nations, but thou shalt not borrow. And thou shalt reign over many nations, but they shall not reign over thee. That is sovereignty. All right. That is what the Lord is setting us up for. Not to control some industry in this world, but to be in the actual power seat. Because it shows you that our people don't have a proper vision and understanding of the world stage. All of those different industries really go back to Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. He's truly in control of all of those industries he mentioned, where the Filipinos said this, and the Jewish woman said this, but really it all goes back to Esau, beginning with their elites. They're in control of all of that. When you follow the money, because he even mentioned the Northern Kingdom being in control of construction. Working on construction sites and being in control of construction is completely different. Now they're able to do certain strikes, to disrupt things, but they don't own those industries. So what do we control on this side? We don't control anything. And that goes back to the curses. We offended the Lord. So now our servants rule over us. All right, let's go to that. This is Lamentations chapter 5. Lamentations chapter 5 and 7. And it reads, our fathers have sinned and are not, and we have borne their iniquities. Servants have ruled over us. There is none that doth deliver us out of their hand. And the perfect punishment for a royal people is to be servants. It's the perfect humbling discipline. It's to make the rulers, the nation of rulers, to make them serve their servants. And this is why it says this in Lamentations, the 5th chapter. Now, it's not going to always be like this, but we have to bear the indignation of the Lord because we sinned against the Lord. That's why trying to take over some industry is vain when we offended the Lord. That's all of this goes back to that. All right, this is Isaiah 42 and 24. I'll start at 23. And it reads, who among you will give? I got to start up, Salakia. Let's start at 22. All right, and it reads, but this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes, and they are hid in prison houses. They are for a prey, and none delivereth, for a spoil, and none saith restore. Because when you look at it, us as a nation of people, our talent wills a lot of things in this world. You can argue that the culture of America they wouldn't have a culture without Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. But we're not able to capitalize off of that. And that goes back to one simple word, and that's exploitation. But what did the Lord say in more simpler terms? for a spoil, and none saith restore. Now, when you go into this Hebrew word for spoil, is mashash or mashayah, masha'ah, all right? And it says booty, spoil, plunder. So as a nation of people, we are basically plundered. Any resource we have, all right, and really the only resource Jake has on this side is our talent, our spirit. That's the only resource Jake has, and it's exploited. You know, Jake works with their hands and whatever the case, but all of that labor goes back to another nation of people. We don't profit from those things. And ultimately, what did the Lord say? So the Lord's acknowledging we're a people robbed and spoiled. All right. And it says, no, none saith restore, because everybody profits from our condition in the earth. Verse 23 reads, who among you will give ear to this? Who will hearken and hear for the time to come? Who gave Jacob for a spoil, and Israel to the robbers? Did not the Lord, he against whom we have sinned? For they would not walk in his ways, neither were they obedient unto his law. Therefore he hath poured upon him the fury of his anger, and the strength of battle, and it has set him on fire round about. Yet he knew not, and it burned him, yet he laid it not to heart. Now in the NLT for verse 25, it says, therefore he poured out his fury on them and destroyed them in battle. They were enveloped in flames, but they still refused to understand. They were consumed by fire, but they did not learn their lesson. Our condition on the earth is supposed to teach us a lesson. And that lesson isn't we need to fight to control some industry in another man's kingdom. That's not the solution. All right, because this is a very good question when you think about it. What do we control as a nation of people? And the answer is nothing. But what does that go back to? How do we find ourselves in this condition? Let's go here. And what is the solution? This is Hosea 5:15. And it reads, I will go and return to my place till they acknowledge their offense and seek my face. In their affliction, they will seek me early. And in the NLT, it says, then I will return to my place until they admit their guilt and turn to me. And Jake don't want to do that. All right. And you can plainly see from this, just off of, looking at this guy's countenance, that our people won't hearken unto the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Shema Shai. They don't acknowledge the Lord being the cause. They don't acknowledge that returning to the Lord is the solution. And this is why 2/3 of our people are going to have to be removed on this side. But the end goal for us as a nation of people is not to control one industry. Matter of fact, I want to show something real quick. This is Psalm chapter 23. And I'm going to start at 1. It says, a psalm of David, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Now let's get this word table. All right. It says table. All right. Let's see.
Strong's H 7979. Shulchan. Shulchan.
All right. And it says table of king's table, private use, sacred use. All right. Strong's definition says a table as spread out, by implication, a meal. All right. Now let's jump down. I think that's it on that. So I want to go here real quick. So the Lord said he's going to set a table for us in the presence of our enemy. All right. Now, when you go into the word bank, let's go into the word bank, because the Lord's preparing us a table. All right. So when you get the etymology of bank, says financial institution, right? Money dealers, counter or shop, from old Italian banca and also from French banque, itself from the Italian word, both meaning table. The Lord is preparing a table for us as a nation of people outside of Esau's system. And this is why, even while this is a good question from Jake, it shows that our people don't have proper vision. You know, our people think very little of themselves, and it's a product of being in this society and being told that this is all is good. This is all there is. So Jake's best case scenario for us as a nation of people is trying to wiggle our way into another man's table. Whereas the Lord said he's preparing us a table in the presence of our enemy. Because the end goal for us as a nation of people isn't to own a single industry. It's to be set up over all governments, all mountains. And matter of fact, it's Isaiah chapter 2:2. It reads, and it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. Now, when you look at this, the mountain of the Lord's house, that's going into governments. All right, so the government of the kingdom of heaven is going to be established on top of the other mountains, on top of the other governments. Because one thing he mentioned at the beginning of this, you know, he mentioned the Edomite, the so-called white woman, saying, my man controls governments. That is actually rulership. All those other things he mentioned are just co-stars in the movie. They don't actually have a power seat. Controlling governments, controlling resources, controlling judgment is actual power. And as a nation of people, it's either we're there or we're at the bottom. There is no in between. There is no in between. There is no gray area. And now all of these things Jake mentioned, we done tried these things. Just have to go back to square one, which is returning to Yahweh Shema Shah. And the elect have learned that lesson. Like we just read in Isaiah the 42nd chapter at the end, in the NLT, says, but they refuse to learn the lesson. Even now, Jake refuses to learn the lesson. They'll mock brothers for teaching the word of Yahweh Shema Shah, for being on the highways and hedges and bidding our people to the marriage. But then their solutions, they've all tried them and failed. Our people have spent lifetimes trying the same thing that Jake is trying to remix and do again. Because that's not the actual problem. We don't have a financial issue. We don't have a military issue. We have a spiritual issue, and it's disobedience, man. Because the Lord said we're either going to be on the top or we're going to be on the bottom. You're either going to be the rulers or you're going to be the servants. But ain't no in between for you. Ain't no little soft spot, soft landing where you can just chill. Because that's what Jake want to do. They want to find some little spot that they can just chill and have a little seat at the table. Hope nobody notice them. We've fallen hard from grace, man. We've fallen hard, bro. Because Jake don't even want to be number one. They don't even want to be number one. And this is, let's go here. So Exodus 19:6. We read it. It says, we shall be a nation of kings and priests. Now, when you go into the David Guzik commentary, of course, with these commentaries, you have to eat the meat and spit out the bones. But I want to touch something that he mentioned. At part C, it says, you shall be to me a kingdom of priests. It says, God intended for Israel to be a kingdom of priests, where every believer could come before Yahweh Shema Shah themselves, and as a group, they represented Yahweh Shema Shah to the nations. That is our actual position on earth. We've been cast down from that, but that is the intention. That is the end goal. It says the whole nation was to act as mediators of Yahweh Shema Shah's grace to the nations of the earth. Now, he says past tense as if the Lord changed his mind, but we all know that the Lord did not. All right, it's Malachi 3:6. For I am the Lord, I change not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. So that is still the intention, for us to be a nation of kings and priests. All right, now let's jump down to this one. It says, God intended for Israel to be a holy nation, a nation and people set apart from the rest of the world, the particular possession of Yahweh Shema Shai, fit for his purpose. That is what we are made for. We're not made to play basketball. All right. We're not made to be musicians and entertainers. Those are gifts that we have. But as a nation of people, we were created to serve Yahweh Shema Shai and to be a nation of kings and priests. All right. This is Romans 9:4, who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption and the glory and the covenant and the giving of the law and the service of Yahweh Shema Shai and the promises. And through the service of the Lord being set up as kings and priests, as the scriptures say in Revelation, the 5th chapter, we shall reign on earth. All right. This is Revelation 5:9. And they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof, for thou wast slain and hast redeemed us to Yahweh Shema Shai by thy blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation, and has made us unto our God kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. And when you think about a king's position, all right, a king doesn't control one industry. He oversees all traffic, judgment. And that's Yahweh Shai, first and foremost, and then the nation of Israel as joint heirs. That is the end goal, and Jake is fighting to control the industry in a world that isn't created for you. The fashion of this world is not created for your benefit. It's created as a prison for us to learn a lesson, and only the elect are going to actually learn that lesson on this side. All right, this is Daniel chapter 2. I'm going to jump down to the point in verse 44. It reads, And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. See, the Lord is setting us up as a nation of people to reign forever. So when he talks about, it's beautiful too, right? Because he's like, what can the women of our nation brag about concerning what we control? Nothing on this side, but on the other side, at the end of this, no other nation, no other woman of any other nation can say anything about the Israelite woman's man in the kingdom of heaven. That is the goal. Where we are right now is a product of disobedience, and it is a pit stop. It is not our final destination. And that's why this logic is vain. And Jake don't see it that way. It's good intentions, but the scriptures say that the people perish because they don't have vision. Jake, a question like this is an assumption that this present world is going to continue like this forever. That all things are going to stay the same, even in the midst of things changing, in the midst of wars growing on earth, all right, in the midst of turmoil, according to prophecy. We still have our people who think this way, because to think like this is to assume that everything is going to stay the same and nothing's going to change. Even his idea of let's take over America's trash. The world is heading to war. That is the reality. A lot of our people's solutions, if you want to call them that, are based on the idea that America is going to stay in the power seat forever. If you sit back and think about it. Whereas the Lord's intention for us as a nation is to build our own table, to set up a government. And that's so far from Jake's imagination that we could actually be rulers, that the best we can do is control trash. Man, Esau did a number on us, man. All right, I want to go here to Daniel chapter 7. And I want to jump down to verse 18. And it reads, I'm going to start at 17. And it reads, These great beasts, which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth. We're at that last kingdom. Verse 18 reads, But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. That is the end goal. Rulership, dominion, not fighting for some industry at another man's table. We just went into the etymology of bank. All right, because really that goes back to resources. Goes back to a table. Table is resources. The earth was made for our sake, man. And the condition we're in right now is a product of our disobedience. And only the elect are going to learn that lesson on this side. But when you look at what the Lord said for our nation, as far as the intent, is for us to have dominion and rulership. Matter of fact, let's go here. See Ezekiel 39. And, before I get this, I'm jumping around. I got to get this one real quick. This is Psalms 122:3. And it reads, Jerusalem is built as a city that is compact together. Whither the tribes go up, the tribes of the Lord, into the testimony of Israel, to give thanks unto the name of the Lord. For there are set thrones of judgment, the thrones of the house of David. That's what's coming. All right, this is Isaiah 32:1. Behold, a king shall reign in righteousness, and princes shall rule in judgment. That's the end goal for us as a nation of people. All right. And it reminds me of this quote from Plato. All right. And it says this. It says, there will be no end to the troubles of states or of humanity itself till philosophers become kings in this world, or till those we can now call kings and rulers really and truly become philosophers, and political power and philosophy thus come into the same hands. Now that's a mouthful, but it really goes back to wisdom. All right, wisdom is what establishes a kingdom. All right, and knowledge of wickedness, as the scriptures say, is not wisdom. So the Lord is perfecting us in knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And then the world will be given unto the nation of Israel under Yahweh Shai, because it's his kingdom first and foremost. All right, and that quote reminds me of this in Wisdom of Solomon 6. I'm going to jump down to verse 20. And it reads, therefore the desire of wisdom bringeth to a kingdom. And see, our people don't desire wisdom. They think it's more wise to try to take over trash, to get some kind of foothold in this society. They don't value wisdom. Because on this side of life, there is no tangible reward for the wisdom of Yahweh Shema Shai, because this world is upside down, where evil is praised. But the Lord is setting us up as a nation of people to be the judges in the earth, man. Even to say that the best thing we could do is take over America's trash is crazy, man. It's Wisdom of Solomon 6:18. Salakia 6:20. I'll read 20 again. Wisdom of Solomon 6:20. Therefore the desire of wisdom bringeth to a kingdom. If your delight be then in thrones and scepters, O ye kings of the people, honor wisdom, that ye may reign forevermore. Jumping down to verse 24, it reads, but the multitude of the wise is the welfare of the world, and a wise king is the upholding of the people. That's the end goal. Call Allah Yahweh Shema Shai, that the present state we're in is temporary. It's not permanent. All right, this is Ezekiel 39:22. And it reads, so the house of Israel shall know that I am the Lord their God from that day and forward. And the heathen shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity for their iniquity, because they trespassed against me. Therefore hid I my face from them, and gave them into the hand of their enemies. So fell they all by the sword. And the world is going to know this. They're going to know that this is why we fell into this position. It wasn't because we weren't smart. It wasn't because we couldn't stick together. It's because we offended the Lord, man. All right, so Lord willing, this was edifying. With that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Wakar Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who are the elders of Yashar Allah. And a sincere salutation to all you Akim, who are preaching this word and believing this word, and to the Akwak, who are believing this word in all truth and in sincerity. Shalom.